Well, hello there. It's Beards and Bangers, and today you find me once again at Gaydon. I seem to be here every other week at the moment, but there's a couple of differences. One is today we're not looking at MGs or Rovers, we're looking at old Fords because we are at the Old Ford Show. And I've also got a cameraman, so Daz from Daryl's Travels, another YouTube channel, please do check that out. He's kindly volunteered to be my cameraman today, so welcome along. Let's have a look around this show.
Welcome to Beards and Bangers.
So we're going to have a look. We're not going to look around every, you know me with car shows now, we don't look at every car. We have a wander around. You can see stuff, but I'm not going to talk about every single car. We'll have a look round. We're going to look at some favourites. There is a car here that belongs to a channel that's a friend of Beards and Bangers. So we'll have a look at that car later on. Wonder if you can guess what it is. And yeah, hopefully I'll give you a good flavour of as to what's going on here at the Old Ford Show at Gaydon. So we'll have a wander. Cameraman, follow me. We have a look at these kind of customised cars. It's very much like a Ford V8. So those who know the story of Bonnie and Clyde will know that they were eventually gunned down driving a Ford V8, and here is one of those engines. Now this looks a little bit more modern than the kind of the period 1930s V8 engine, but we did hear this car driving in here, and it does sound quite superb. This looks like it's got an Edelbrock carburetor conversion. So we'll have a little wander over here. Let's look at the cars. Yeah, so this section is pretty much the kind of the custom. I think we've seen this one before at Pride of Longbridge.
Nice to see you.
We did, yes. We saw this car at Pride of Longbridge. So yeah, Ford V8 in the engine bay there. And if we go on to the other side, we've got more of the same. We've got more customised Fords, and they are there's some wild and wacky shapes here. Some people are very much anti-custom, but I think they're quite alright. So
They've all got their own character and drive like.
Now this one here is interesting to me because I quite like Johnny Cash. Of course, those of you who are Johnny Cash fans will know his famous song Folsom Prison Blues. And this Ford here, this Ford van, it's got Folsom Prison written on the side of it. So it's a custom car, and it's got a little bit of a American country music reference there with the Folsom Prison on the side. So that's quite interesting.
Somebody said to me, well, how much would you need? I said, you've got like 16 hours. I said, there's want to charge them.
There's a lot of V8s down here. I imagine if these all start up together, it's going to sound pretty fruity. We'll just wander around the corner here, and hopefully we've got some more modern stuff. I know I'm out of my comfort zone today, of course, because there's no MGs here other than mine. There's no Rovers, so I've got to rely on my wits to narrate you around this show. Over here we've got another custom on the end. But here we've got a Ford P100 type thing. I don't know whether it's been customised, but it's got a Cosworth engine in it. I bet this sounds quite nice. But then moving further down, we get into some more familiar territory with some standard cars. So we've got a couple of Fiestas. Can you believe that the Fiesta's they've stopped producing the Fiesta? They're going to, and the Focus and the Mondeo. So these kind of standard cars that Ford have built, we've got to know and love, are going to disappear in favour of SUVs and electrics. So make of that what you will. A very nice Capri. There is a black Capri that lives near me in Aylesbury, and I'm very keen to find the owner so I can do a review. These cars are just these Mark 1 Focuses, Escorts even, they're just such a nice shape. This one's, I think, got some slightly flared wheel arches, but they're just such beautiful cars. You just don't get those kind of lines on cars anymore. So that's D Road, but the weather's really unpredictable today. So 1 minute it's drizzling, the next minute it's sunny. So I'm now quite warm. Let's have a wander down. We're gonna go and find a friend now.
And that one very old system.
Lovely Mark 4 Cortina. Look at the engine. Look at the engine bay. Just this little engine just looks so small. I think there's been some exhaust manifold modifications going on there, because that looks rather sporting. Unless I'm, of course, that standard and I'm getting it completely wrong, which is possible because this is not my area of expertise. Yeah, beautiful colour, beautiful condition. I saw this one driving in. We've got a police Cortina here. There's always a police representation of these shows, which is lovely. And I'm guessing we're going to see either some Crown Vics, something like that later, or the Mercury equivalent. Customised Anglia, more Escort, beautiful colour. This colour from the early 80s, it's just so evocative of the period. I really like it. And look at this lovely Mark 1 Fiesta. It's absolutely brilliant. A very nice Mark 2 Escort next to it. Looks like it's been Weberised. It has. 2-litre engine, but it's got double Webers. So one would think that sounds pretty mean. But look at this more 80s loveliness. A gold Granada, the last of the Granadas. So it's interesting, we can... Follow me, young man. Oh sorry, wrong video, wrong channel. So we've got this Granada Scorpio, which will be from the sort of late 80s, early 90s. Just look at the shape of it. I mean, some would say they're hideously ugly. I personally, they're fantastic. And of course, the one to have was the Gear X. That was the. Then we got the Mark. What is this? Mark 3 Granada behind it. So much more familiar shape. But yeah, quite interesting seeing the difference there. Sierra Sapphire. So there was this trend in the 80s to get your hatchback and then put a boot on it and make it into a saloon, give it a slightly different name, a bit like a Ford Orion or a Vauxhall Belmont. The very early Mondeo. These are now classics. Can you believe? They're fantastic cars. This one looks like it's been very well looked after. Paintwork is superb. I just love these wheels. These, they're not the widest rims in the world, but they're just so sort of typical of the period. We're going to go and find a friend. So we've come to see a friend of Beards and Bangers and a friend of mine, Simone. Hello. And of course, this is the first time I am seeing Simone's Mark III Cortina Tourer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for Simon to keep him happy.
Yeah.
He gets upset if he doesn't hear the Tourer.
Yeah.
So
It's an estate car, so yes, it's a Tourer.
it's an estate Tourer, shooting brake, station wagon, call it what you will. So this is Simone's rolling restoration.
Yes.
But I hear you had a bit of a noisy drive getting up here.
Certainly did. Yes. Unfortunately, the driver's side rear wheel bearing has failed.
One needs bearings. Simone has lost her bearings.
Well, there is such a thing as bearing straight.
Yes, there is, isn't there? Up in Russia, wherever it is.
Yeah, try and keep the bearing straight.
Yeah. So you were going to put these half shafts
I was.
on.
Yes. Yeah, because they're too big, they won't fit.
They won't fit, so they're going to be sold.
Yeah.
And then you've got to source some.
Yes, a friend of mine is actually currently active.
Marvellous. Yeah, if getting parts is difficult. There are clubs out there. For any car. there's people with sheds full of stock they've just hoarded over the years, and so these things suddenly turned up. So, but maybe we can have a look inside TC. So if we,
one thing I will mention is because of the bearing inside the car, when I'm driving, say doing 55, 60 miles an hour, it is at the moment 76 decibels.
So that bearing
inside the car,
which is probably if that was a workplace, it would probably be illegal.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I'm using earplugs. It's cutting down at least 35 decibels, so halving it at least.
Yeah.
But it's much more comfortable with the earplugs.
Yeah. But yeah, 75 decibel. That's loud.
Very loud. It's the size. It's the volume of a loud motorcycle.
Goodness.
In the car with you. So.
Yeah, not terribly.
No, it's headache inducing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Let's have a look inside TC. Maybe Simone will show us round. So, we are inside. I'm inside TC with Simone, which is actually a very comfortable place to be. So perhaps Simone will tell us the story of TC.
Well, it goes back to me being a kid, really, because when I was 16, there was a chap who lived on the estate that I lived on, and he had one of these in a estate in tawny bronze with a black vinyl roof, and I always looked at that car and thought I really liked it. But I never really decided I wanted an estate car. I didn't mind which one it was, but I wanted one with a sloping dash. The squared off dash I really wasn't keen on.
Okay.
So fast forward, like, till I think it was about 2014.
Yeah.
I'm looking on YouTube for Cortina Mark III videos, and I found a video of the Mark III Cortina called Swampy. Some of you out there may know Swampy. If you don't, go and look out Mark III Ford Cortina Swampy, and you'll see what I mean. The video I found of that was him basically the car being pulled out of a hedge and a swamp. And it was basically buried to its chassis in bog.
God.
And Pete, basically the guy who bought that car, he pulled it out, stripped it down and rebuilt the whole car, nut and bolt restoration. And that video basically was what started my obsession with wanting to get one of these things. And I followed Pete's channel ever since.
Yeah.
And when he was rebuilding his next car, which was Project Ruby, which is a beautiful maize yellow GXL, he got a call about this car, and it was the Mark III Estate stakeout video. And he goes and does some filming of this car at a yard, and the story of this car, as far as I'm aware, I'm sure they'll be corrected if at some point, the story is that this car was in a workshop for 40 years.
40
years. There is a still I will give you.
So Adrian, if you're watching this, and Austin, there are worse examples of my MG ZT260, which has been on a ramp for, it seems, a year.
Wow.
40 years.
Yeah, according to what I can tell, it was put into this workshop in 1977.
God, good year.
I don't know.
I was born
in 76. So, and it was pulled out in 2017.
Yeah.
The guy who had this car was, I believe, I think he was a mechanic at the time, and it was previously owned before me legally by the co-op. So its first owner, I don't know who it was, of course, because they don't get that information anymore.
No.
Its second owner was the co-op, and this is the reason why it's this blue and painted badly.
It's co-op blue.
It's co-op blue.
Co-op blue.
And saying that,
oh yes,
my friend hunted down this thermos flask from the 1970s, and it's co-op thermos flask, and it's metal.
That's brilliant.
And it's in full working order.
And it works.
Getting stuff like this, which is a really lovely addition. To the car, you know. But Pete saved the car from the breaker's yard, and the banger track, because this car would have been taken around the banger track. So I bought it off of Pete in 2020, September the 12th exactly. I always remember the date. It's very weird. It was very, very emotional time actually, because I've not long lost my cat of 19 and a half years.
I remember.
So
yeah, I remember you
everything
telling me
all
about
together
this.
was quite. It was a very interesting time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but I managed to get this car to a friend's place. I spent absolutely months welding the floor. So the seat that your friend is sat on, the floor, I've welded. It was just holes.
Right.
So I welded in the inner sills.
Yeah.
I've welded the footwells. I repaired the seatbelt mounts in here.
Yeah, yeah.
There was loads that I've done, but it still needs more work.
So structurally, it's much.
It's much stronger structurally and
Yeah.
mechanically.
Yeah.
I changed the rubber bushes underneath the poly bushes.
Yeah.
I did the brakes all round. I stripped down the steering rack, rebuilt that. You know, I've done engine work on it to a degree. It's had an engine swap. It was a 1300 Crossflow, now it's a 1600 Pinto.
Oh, Pinto engine. Yeah.
So the rear axle had to be changed because it was a 1300 axle. So the ratio was different.
Yes,
So it was creating
yeah.
so much noise.
And the gearbox is.
The gearbox is from a Ford Sierra. It's a Type 9 Quaif, 5-speed. This car originally was a 4-speed.
So that fit just gives you a bit of legs on the motorway. Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of this axle, I can't go much higher than about 55 because it's so loud.
Yeah.
But once I get that fixed
Oh, it's
and
good.
once I get that sorted, it should help.
It's gonna be glorious.
But unfortunately, the radio doesn't currently work.
So we spin round, cameraman. So.
It kind of does, but it's not very loud. And
But-
it's,
Yeah, it's not that drown. I remember when I was a teenager and had no money. It's like, oh, I've got a wheel bearing gone. I'm going to turn the radio up. So, you know, if I can't hear it, it can't be anything wrong with it.
no, exactly. Yes.
But if we look at the dashboard, so you just heard Simone saying about the slope. This, if you just look, if I set normally, when I've only got little stubby legs, but this dashboard sloping away, so the dashboard slopes down. You've got just so much space.
Acres of room. Well, your door, Rob, if you shut your door, if you look at the top of the door itself, the actual top door capping.
Yeah.
What's your first impressions when you look at that paint?
It's a bit orange peely. Is that the original colour?
It's the original colour, it's not the original paint.
Ah.
That door is a replacement.
Aha.
And I basically repainted it to try and match the original colour of the inside. This is Marquis Blue.
Marquis Blue.
Marquis Blue, with a Q, spelled with a Q.
So look, this has been repainted.
Yeah, and I re-trimmed the door, put the door cards back on. The where the ashtray is and the power socket, those have been repainted.
Yes, yeah.
Because they were in such terrible condition, and the actual cigarette lighter did not exist when I got the car. It's just a blank.
So they gave you an ashtray, but never a cigarette lighter.
No, it's true. And grossly enough, the ashtray behind it, right here,
Yeah.
still has 1970s
Oh, look
cigarette
at
butts
that.
in it.
Some people would be like
If you
getting
can
them
get
out
that in
straight
there.
away, wouldn't
Yeah,
they?
they would be. I
But-
left them in there for
no,
posterity.
they've got to stay. They've got to stay.
Yeah, I left them there for posterity. Cigarette butts from the 1970s,
Yeah.
guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, but unfortunately the one on the other side I can't seem to.
Oh, it's
no, it does open. I thought it was locked.
nothing in there.
No, but you know, cigarette ashtrays in the back of the
Ashtray-
car for the children.
For when,
you know.
yeah, for the kids, so they can
Yeah.
have a little puff while they're driving
Yeah.
along.
And no seatbelts in here either, so you can bounce around all you like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No head restraints.
No, no.
Plastic headlining. It's lovely.
No. Do you like the holes?
I do. They're period correct,
very
aren't
characterful.
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of interesting things with this car. The windscreen wash
Excuse me.
isn't on a stalk, so you've only got one stalk. Of course, this being a 70s car, 70s British car, the indicators are on the right, but there's not a second stalk for the wipers, because the wipers are controlled with this toggle switch here, and
Yeah, it only has one speed.
one speed.
One speed wipers.
It's two offs. It's got two offs, but one on. So it's that's quite a rare feature. The screen wash is actually operated by a pump on the floor, which if Daz looks to the left of the clutch. Now, if you've ever owned a vintage car, you'd think, oh, that's the starter, because vintage cars you still have a key to turn the ignition on, but your actual starter motor is controlled by a switch on the floor like that. But that switch is actually the screen wash.
There's no current screen wash in there at the moment because the bottle which contains the screen wash, they do crack. And unfortunately mine has done so it won't hold fluid.
So you have to get a bottle and kind of...
There is a method of doing it where you basically put a bag inside it and then you fill the bag up.
Got you, yeah.
But over time you learn to change the bag as it breaks down.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those little things with these older cars you have to put up with,
yeah,
you have to contend with.
Yeah, it's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
I mean, this seat, for example, it should not be this soft. I should not be this far down. So I have some sponge at home, so I'm going to get this seat base out and I'm going to put extra sponge inside.
Yeah.
And also I've slept in this car because I can fold the back seat down and it's 6 foot worth of space in here.
It's amazing size, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. And it's so easy to move. You just pull a little lever back here.
Yeah.
And you can lift it forward.
Wow. It's taken me quite a long time to see this car because of course Simone's down in Devon, and I'm up in Buckinghamshire, which is quite a it's good 250 miles
at least
away.
Yeah,
so yeah, I finally met TC. It's not the first time I've met Simone. Simone and I have met before, and obviously we've conversed.
Yes, we've met at
Pride of Longbridge, wasn't it?
It was,
right towards the end. So yeah, so it's really nice to see Simone here. It's nice to see TC. It's nice to sit in TC and look at some of the features. And I thank you for your chat once again.
At all. So pleasure to be on the channel.
Hooked on Classics.
Yes, Hooked on Classics.
Sure you already all do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marvellous. Right. So we'll just have a look at. I just want to have a look at the back of TC. Obviously, TC's a rolling restoration, so that's why we've got some interesting patina. If we look, what I'm particularly pleased about is the sticker. So viewers of a certain age will chortle with laughter at that. But yeah, here's TC in co-op blue, absolutely fantastic. And I thank Simone from Hooked on Classics so much for showing TC to me today. Right, so it's wonderful to see TC. We're going to have a look around these Capris now. This one looks particularly tasty with this great big front spoiler on it. So it's a V6 injection. So that'll be a later one. Another fuel injected one here, and then this one in an absolutely wonderful colour. I do think Fords suit these sort of bold, big bold colours, but if we wander this way. Absolutely loads of Capris. So we're just absolutely in a sea of 4 Capris. They're actually taking up what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Absolutely fantastic. Really nice to see. Yeah, I'm beginning to get excited about Fords. So if you're one of my MG Rover followers, don't worry, I'm not going off them. But I really do like the Fords. So maybe a little hint for you there as to what could be coming up on the channel. We'll have a wander over here now. We've got some earlier Capris, which is parked up here. And Ford really, they didn't really change the styling that much. That sort of shape, just that lasted throughout the production run. Then next to it, we've got a couple of Granadas, which look absolutely superb. I do like these early 80s Granadas before they went into the big kind of turtle shape they did a bit later on. And we've got another one of these Cortinas on Mark IV. I don't know what this blue is. If anyone knows what this blue is, we won't say it's co-op blue, but it's just such a delightful colour, and they're just such a lovely shape, these cars. And just look at this engine bay. So much space. Absolutely marvellous. Now there's a car up here I want to go and have a look at. It's a car that I think is not very well loved, but now if you saw my video from the Ford Nationals a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, you'll have seen there was an absolute sea of these Lotus Cortinas. I've only spotted one here today so far, which is good. But yeah, over here we have got a Ford Probe, and I am seriously interested in acquiring. Sorry about the band. We've got the band going on in the background. Yeah, these are unloved. They're Mazda derived. So they're based on the Mazda 323, something like that. It's a coupe with this one's got a V6 engine, 2.5 litre V6. They're based on the Mazda, but I think they're actually really nice. And between you and me, I am looking for one. So, and that one does look rather nice. But I've got no idea what they're worth. It seems to be an absolute spread of prices. So we've wandered away from the music. Although the music's really jolly, it's a little bit loud, so you'd hear that rather than me. We found this late 90s, so what's that, 97 Ford Scorpio. So this is like the last of the Granada family to be produced. Now, this styling really divides opinion. Some people think they're quite ugly. I actually think they're quite nice, and they now look decent. This one's in really good condition. If Dad has a peer inside, it's got some leather seats that look as comfy as anything. Also, this will be a V6, probably 2.5 litre. But yeah, this was the luxury Ford in the UK in the late 90s. You see very, very few on the road now, but this one is extremely well maintained. I quite like it. I say what was not loved, when it was new. This one's certainly loved by someone now. But the reason we came up here is because we've got a little array of these delightful Cortinas. And the first one we come to is in a fantastic colour. So yeah, you don't see many of these anymore. There's 5 here. Yeah, another car that I quite like, modern classic Ford. No one make any hairdress jokes. I like these. They are nice. This one's sort of electric blue colour. It's got a bit of a body kit on it, so it's quite pleasant. We actually wandered up to the car park. So there's actually a separate show here for the Roots group, so the Sunbeams, all the Tigers, Hillmans, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to cover this at all because they're marks that I know nothing about at all, and they don't. Sorry to anyone who likes Roots group stuff, but they don't interest me one little bit. My father used to work for Roots, and he programmed me to be mistrustful of them. But one thing we have found is this rather nice Clan Crusader. So we'll have to research what it is and what it's based on, but it's got some nice mini-like wheels. It's in a really nice wasp attracting colour, as we can see. It's a tiny little sports car that looks absolutely fantastic. Clan Crusader, anyone. There we go. So thank you for watching this for another Ford-based edition of Beards and Bangers. If you like what you've seen, if you like seeing reviews of car shows, reviews of cars, car maintenance, and you hadn't already done so, please hit subscribe. If you want to join the channel and get early access to videos like this, then please join. Make sure you like, make sure you share the hell out of this video with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again very soon on the next episode of Beards and Bangers. Goodbye.